Here in D.C., it's unicorn. Caps finally won it, right? But without it, without sports altogether, to me, the whole thing is enjoyment. It's a pastime. And so if you take it all away...
Music's enjoyable. I go listen to music, and you know what? I don't suffer any L's.
Why do you look angry talking about it?
I'm just giving you an alternative. It's not the only thing for enjoyment.
True, of course. There are alternatives in life. But to me, sports is a great outlet. And even when my team's not in it, I'll watch a Super Bowl, and I enjoy it. Now, a lot of times I end up rooting for a team because it's just what happens, and you root for the loser, big deal. But the whole thing is enjoyment.
Well, guys like Valdez try.
And we've made a profession out of it. 800-636-1067. Do you agree with this? Do you think sports destroys your happiness? Because I think it completely adds to it. Like, my hobbies are sports. Now I'm trying to get into the old man sports like golf.
Yeah, but it's still sports. No, I get it. Listen, our lives, obviously, we are the exception. We've made a life around it.
I don't think it's an exception. Like, take the NFL.
But your fandom... in terms of being fan, listen, I think it's great. I have all my kids. They don't even have a choice. They're all very active in sports. I think it teaches teamwork, to goal setting, achieving goal, all that stuff, dealing with losses, all that's great. But in terms of fandom, I think it's brutal. Brutal being a fan. And when guys like Valdez say, it's just sports, it's just
that's a facade. Sports. Yeah, he's desperate to watch the British Open.
It's a good slug line. I like it.
I like the British Open.
Good branding.
All right. Well, it's just sports. Why don't you turn it off? No big deal. It's just sports.
No, but when he tries to write it off as it's just sports, it doesn't really affect me. It's not really true.
But this is why I don't agree with it. Like, in my urban neighborhood cakes, I can walk by Poorhouse and the place is packed. It's people having fun watching sports.
Well, they're also having fun getting hammered.
Okay,
they go hand in hand.
They do go hand in hand, but there's 100 beers, there's a ton of TV.
The point of the study is that the losses hurt you more than the pleasure you get from the wins. And I don't think anybody can argue. But then you don't get that same pleasure in the wins.
Okay, well, if there's not that many wins and it's just all losses.
Right, if you could keep a nice emotional detachment, but most can't.
If your team goes undefeated every year, then of course it's fine.
Who roots for undefeated teams all the time?
But that doesn't
happen a lot.
They say
and JP should tell me more how I feel, by the way.
But think of the enjoyment Cakes gets every day. Look, he knows the Wizards aren't going to win a championship.
Right.
But he'll still watch every game on NBC Sports Washington because he gets enjoyment out of it.
I will say that some of the Caps' playoff exits, soul crushers, obviously.
Yes.
When the Caps lost to the Penguins just last year before they won the Stanley Cup, my daughter cried for 45 minutes straight. Right. I mean, it's just soul crushing. But you know what? When they win it all, it makes it all worth it. It does. It just does.
I don't.
The that I've gotten from the Capitals winning the Stanley Cup has made all of the playoff exits and heartbreak worth it.
I know. I will say what I do think is something that troubles some fans, and I'm thinking of some of our particular callers. In 800-636-1067, the study found that fans overestimate the probability of their team winning.
Exactly.
So think of all the blind homers that call into this show. Every year, Rich Turpin calls in and believes the Redskins are going to be a playoff team. Every year.
Right.
And they're a playoff team 1 out of every 4 or 5 years.
You can't tell me Rich Turpin is a happy person. You can't tell me that. He's friggin' miserable. That's why I always say I try to emotionally detach myself from it because it's too grueling.
But it'd be a major void if you took it all away.
Of course. We're the exception.
And that would be less happiness. No, for just the average Joe. It's not the exception because 30 million people are watching NFL games all across America. And that's not a local deal. They're watching in cities that don't even have teams.
It's like guys that smoke, though. You're slowly killing yourself.
Yeah, but why can't...
You're addicted to it.
But, JP, why can't people watch it and enjoy what's going on without being attached to it?
They can. Of course they can.
And remember, a lot
that's the healthiest way if you can do that.
A lot of those people that are watching the NFL...
You're not getting that much joy out of it either, though.
The people that are watching the NFL, a lot of them are gambling on it or they have fantasy implications or DFS sweats tied in. So a lot of people, I argue at this point, are watching the NFL as kind of a detached entity. They're not
favorite team. You're a little bit.
I think it's morphing away from that. I think that fantasy and gambling is started.
It's a big part
to erode that.
But I would say most guys I know have a favorite team that they're passionate about.
Yeah, their own fantasy team.
That's
that's not true. Like, you're passionate about the Ravens. Drabby's passionate about the Seahawks. JP's kind of an exception.
Yeah, but Valdez's
Cakes is kind of an exception.
Ravens love is kind of wavering over the last few years.
I'm telling you,
some chinks in
I'm
the
going to be
armor.
very honest with you.
But I actually think Cakes is right, just judging from, like, say, the 10 kids on my flag football team. A lot of them don't have favorite teams. They just follow fantasy and things like that.
Right.
What were you going to say, Valdez?
Oh, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm kind of jaded by sports. I'm around it every single day.
Well, I think that's
It's
true.
a job.
I think that's true.
And, for some people it's an escape, but for me it's it's a job. So you just get detached by it or from it.
All right, let's go
you
to-
get worn
you
down.
get sized for golf. You get
Yeah, I
sized
do.
for Tiger Week. Those are sports.
I do,
So
I
if
do,
you
but
took that away,
I'm
you
not.
would be
s-
sad
I love it, but
if there's no Tiger Woods.
I'm going to tell you, I'm ultimately going to be
What?
disappointed because
if the PGA Tour, if the players went on strike,
right.
okay, and there was no golf for a year, like they've done in baseball, where they just cancel a season, you would be distraught. You would be more sad. You'd be missing it.
I would probably play a lot more on the weekends.